Welcome to Co-Parenting Champions with Dr. Celeste. I'm Dr. Celeste Simmons, forensic psychologist and strategic partner for family law issues. And this is the space where parents learn to shift their approach, build the life they actually want, and show up for their kids no matter what the other parent does. And if you're here and you're not a co-parent, these strategies might still be useful to you as well, because learning how to focus on where you want to go instead of what you don't want, that changes everything and every relationship, including the one you have with yourself. I know your time is valuable, so today we're doing a co parenting champion soundbite. That means we'll get some practical strategies going that you can use right now in about 5 to 10 minutes. Quick reminder, I'm here to offer insights and ideas. How you apply them is completely up to you. This is not a substitute for mental health treatment, therapy, or any kind of legal advice. If you need that kind of support, please seek out a qualified provider. Now let's get started because we know co parenting doesn't come with a playbook, but together we can certainly figure out how to play the game. Your co parenting game plan starts now. I want to ask you a question today. Are your kids getting the best of you or what's left of you? And before you try harder to give your kids everything they need, I want you to ask yourself this: what do you think they actually need from you right now? A lot of co parents I talk to might immediately go to a list. They need more stability, better communication with the other parent, fewer arguments, a nicer house, more time, etc. And those things are important, but they're not the only answers. Because here's what your kids need most from you that has nothing to do with any of that. They need you to know where you are in relation to them. And I don't mean physically, I mean relationally, emotionally, positionally. And that's what we're going to talk about today. And to better understand that, we're going to go to a hypothetical example. We're going to call the example Cameron. Now, Cameron's doing everything. Cameron's working full time, showing up for all the school events, keeping the household running, trying to keep the peace with a co parent who doesn't make any of that easy. Cameron is present on paper. But when Cameron's child started getting quieter, more withdrawn, Cameron's first instinct was to fix things on the outside: longer talks, more activities, more extra one on one time, more effort. What Cameron didn't realize was that the child wasn't pulling away because they needed more of Cameron's doing. They were pulling away because Cameron's energy, the stress, the resentment, the hypervigilance about what the co parent might do next was taking up space in every single room Cameron walked into. Cameron was physically there, but relationally, Cameron was somewhere else. And that distinction matters a lot. Here's the reframe I want you to sit with before I give you some tips today. Your kids aren't measuring your love by your effort. They're measuring your presence by your position. Now, what that means is that you can be in the same room, but miles away, and they feel it. They just don't have the language to tell you. And that's what my proximity model addresses. Not how close you are in space, where you actually are in relation to the people who need you the most. Because proximity isn't physical, it's relational. And when you are emotionally consumed by your co parenting situation, you're not as close to your children as you think you might be, no matter how many hours you spend with them. When parents don't address relational positioning, a few things might happen. First, children start to manage their parents' emotions rather than develop their own. They learn quickly that bringing up the other parent causes a reaction. So they might stop bringing things up. They start protecting you. And a child who's protecting a parent has lost access to being a child. Second, we as parents might start to confuse proximity with presence and then double down on activity instead of attunement. And for those of you who aren't familiar with attunement, that's like the connection that you have with another person. So we might do more events, find more things to do, how to spend more time. But the quality of that time and connection doesn't improve because the relational proximity It's shifted. Also, the third one that might happen, this is something that a lot of people might not ever think about. By the time you get to your children at the end of the day, how much of you is actually left? Because here's what we don't talk about a lot, and definitely not enough. We give out relational access to people all day long. We give it to co parenting conflict, we give it to attorneys, group chats, venting, the replaying of what was said and what it meant. We give it to people at work who don't even know our kids' names. And then we walk through the door and expect to have something left for the people who belong in our closest circle, the ones who actually need us most. Your children are not getting less of your time. In many cases, they're getting less of you because you've already spent most of the available parts of yourself on people and situations that were never entitled to that level of access in the first place. And that's not a scheduling problem. That's a relational access problem. And it shows up in kids before it ever shows up on the calendar. So before you try harder, here's what I want you to do first. One, run a proximity check. Before you walk through the door, ask yourself, where am I right now? Not physically, emotionally. If you just got off the phone with your co parent and your nervous system is activated, your kids are about to receive that version of you, not the one you intended. Now, you don't have to be perfect. You just have to be honest about your position before you walk into theirs. Two, let your kids name what they need without it becoming about the other parent. And this might take a bit of discipline. So when a child says, I miss dad, or I miss mom, or mom does it differently, or dad does it differently, they're not taking sides. They're expressing a need. Your only job is to receive that without reacting to it. What they need in that moment is for you to stay close, not to defend yourself, not to explain the situation, just to stay close. A third thing I would like you to do is to regulate yourself before you re enter the space with your children. When we talk about proximity, we talk about where you are in relationship emotionally. Your relational position shifts based on your emotional state. If you go from a difficult co parenting interaction directly into your evening with your kids, you're not starting from a neutral position. You're starting from wherever that last interaction left you. So give yourself some transition time if you need it, even if it's just 5 minutes, to move from that space into the one that your children need. A fourth thing you can do, stop measuring your parenting by the other parent's standard. Your kids do not need you to outparent your co parent. They need you to show up as a stable, attuned, emotionally available version of yourself. That's a completely different goal. And it's one that's entirely within your control, regardless of what's happening on the other side. If the content of today's episode resonated with you, share it with someone who needs it. And subscribe so you never miss a practical tool that can actually change the trajectory of your life. And if you're ready to take the next step, the proximity audit, which we talked about a little bit today, is in the show notes. It was built specifically for this, to show you exactly where you are relationally, who has access to the parts of you that matter most, and whether those people who actually belong in your closest circle are getting what they need from you. And if you already suspect that your kids are getting what's left of you instead of the best of you, that's not a time management problem. The link to work with me directly is in the show notes. Next time, I'll be back with more tips and tools to help you show up as a true co-parenting champion. Because we know co-parenting doesn't come with a playbook, but together, we can certainly figure out how to play the game. Your co-parenting game plan starts now.